From Central Indiana's #1 news source, this is FOX59 Tonight.
Well, good evening to you. I'm Cameron Little. Welcome to FOX59 Tonight. Let's find us on the FOX59 app on your smart TV and online on YouTube. We've been telling you a lot about the cuts that are happening to budgets across the country, be that with schools, with federal departments, with libraries, with so many different things because of the grants that are being cut and canceled at the federal level in departments from the Department of Education, the CDC, the list goes on and on and on, and there is an impact. It's not always something you see immediately, but sometimes it happens as soon as a payroll hits or it's time for a new project. And already we are hearing about now museums and libraries, something that people didn't think at all would be affected by this, is being very affected after the federal government has now canceled abruptly grants that go to the museums and library. It is impacting libraries and museums here in Central Indiana as well. The Kurt Vonnegut Museum, the Indianapolis Children's Museum, and several others are already putting out notices that, hey, this is causing us to make severe adjustments. It could be everything from people's pay to programs that they are offering that now have to be canceled. The Indianapolis Children's Museum tells us here at Fox 59 that they are losing a $199,000 reimbursement for a program that they were putting on. A lot of times, libraries, these museums, they put on a program with an agreement from the federal government that says, hey, if you do this, take care of what you need to. The federal government will have your back and we will reimburse you for all those costs. Now, even though contracts are signed, that plan's out the window thanks to some of those executive orders that you see President Trump signing right now. Somebody who knows a whole lot about this and how it is impacting libraries and museums is Nichelle M. She is in our studio. She is the executive director of the Hurston Wright Foundation. A wealth of knowledge on a number of topics. But Nichelle, thank you first for coming in. I know this is a topic that is near and dear to you because you are seeing people's paycheck be threatened, as well as programs overall that could simply come to a halt.
Absolutely, Cameron. And so this is affecting us not just locally, as you mentioned. So Indiana Humanities, the Kurt Vonnegut Library, and the Children's Museum. And interestingly enough, the Children's Museum is celebrating their 100th anniversary this year. And so to face a hit like this, I'm sure that they're reeling over there. And that's going to have an impact on the community. So people don't often think about what libraries do. Libraries help with literacy, they help with workforce development, they have computers, they have people that can assist you getting your resume done and just kind of finding a lot of things. And without those dollars, that's going to impact the work that they can do. And so if we have strong libraries and strong museums, we have strong communities.
As you were saying, the Kurt Vonnegut Museum is one of them that offers dozens of programs to the community, but they're telling us that they now have to reevaluate which programs they can even offer going forward. While much of what you get at the library is free, it's free because you've paid for it through taxes, and it is getting sent down in grants and reimbursement in a number of different ways. But everything has to get paid for, and people still have to get paid. These are people's jobs. So much is on the line. What are you hearing from people inside the museums and libraries? Is this distressing for them?
It's beyond distressing. I don't even know a word strong enough to describe it. People are very concerned. We're already using very, very tight budgets, especially in libraries. And so this is going to impact it even more. And just to put it in perspective with the federal budget, um, the Institute for Museum and Library Services, which is what we're talking about, they have $266.7 million, which is only 0.003% of the federal budget. So not even a percentage point. And so the amount, when we're looking at the total budget, is very small, but the impact is huge. And so this is going to affect small libraries. This is going to affect tribal libraries, and there will be a ripple effect because we don't know if that money will be restored. Now, there is hope. You can reach out to your representatives, your senators, and your federal representative, whoever that is for you, and tell them to protect these funds because these funds have already been allocated by Congress, and Congress has the power of the purse. So some of these things that are happening are we don't necessarily know at this point if they're legal, and there are going to be some litigation
Um, these grants, how much is it? How often, or how much I should say, is a budget of a library usually coming from federal dollars?
around that. So the better way to answer that is what things do they do with those
Okay.
funds? And so summer reading. So I spoke with a individual who works with youth in a large metropolitan area, and what their admins are telling them is, we'll have summer reading this year. We are not going to have it next year. So what that means is that slide that we're trying to avoid in the summer is going to be even bigger. So there aren't going to be prizes. There aren't going to be things to encourage kids to come in. There aren't going to be book giveaways and things like that. Also, there's veterans telehealth spaces that are funded with these IMLS dollars. We talked before about employment and job seekers. There are just a lot of things that IMLS funds, and we're going to feel the hit. And as you said before, it might not happen tomorrow. It might not even happen next week. That in a month or 6 months from now, we're going to feel that. And at that point, it will be too late if we don't use our voices.
We're looking at some video right now. This is a flu clinic that was happening inside of a place. I believe this is inside the Children's Museum, but this is all of the different things that happen that not everybody sees inside of places like museums and libraries. This is the kind of stuff that it helps to pay for. It's not going necessarily to the library CEO or the museum CEO. It's going to services that people end up getting to take advantage of for free or no cost, but most times it's free.
Exactly.
What is it that people can do? I mean, I know, we're hearing people say, "Hey, this is money that Congress has already approved. This is money that Congress already allocated, and you can't just decide to do an executive order and stop the funding." So we're seeing some of that go to the court, but I know for a lot of people it feels very helpless. Like, well, I mean, if the federal government isn't going to send the money, and we can't figure out another place to get that income, what are we to do?
So we have to make sure that our voices are being heard. And so I can't say this enough. Contact your representatives. There's a wonderful app out. It's called Five Calls, five like FIVE, but it's the number. And this is nonpartisan. So this is not about right or left. This is about supporting our communities. So you can go to that app, you can put in your zip code, and it will tell you who your representatives are. It will show you some of the pressing legislation that's pending, and then it'll give you a number so you can reach out and contact them. And that app is asking you to call every day to advocate and push for what you want. And then also, I think it's important to reach out to our state legislatures and tell them this is going to have some repercussions. So the money that we're not getting from the federal government, then we're going to be looking for you from the state government to get that. And so if that doesn't happen, then what are we going to do? And we know that we're doing some things with the budget here, even though there's a budget surplus. So we have to let our voices be heard, and you've got to reach out to people and tell them about what's going on because a lot of people don't know what's going on and they don't know how it's going to affect them.
So, is there any um, thing in the meantime? I mean, is the alternative, hey, we don't have the budget for this, so just cancel it? I guess, could you explain to people how these dollars are allocated to where it's not just as simple as, well, we'll just pull it from here and we'll just keep going?
Right. So it's not going to be a pull it from here because the budgets are already very tight. So it will be a matter of we will not have this program. We will not have something that can help people that are looking for jobs. We will not have something that can help young people who are working on their literacy. As I mentioned before, we will not have a summer reading program. So there are a plethora of things that we're not going to be able to take advantage of. And so there will be a hole there. And so, again, libraries support communities. And if you have a strong library, you have a strong community. And it's also the inverse. And so, if your library is weak, your community is going to be weak because people will not have these things. Also, they provide high speed internet.
Mhm.
So, some of us are very blessed to be able to have internet access at our homes. We have computers at our homes. Everyone does not have that. And so, where will those individuals go? How will they be able to access that? And you know, as well as I do, Cameron, you can't contact anyone by phone anymore.
Mhm.
Go to our website, go to our social
Mhm.
media, go to our website. And so, if you don't have access to those things, then you're left out. So, it's really talking about also the digital divide.
Is this something that collectively people, museums and libraries, are they getting together and trying to fight back? Or, and I ask that because we're seeing how people are attempting to kind of buy industry. We know that in some of the legal circles with the Trump administration, we've got some law firms saying, hey, yes, sir, Mr. President, whatever you want to do, we're going forward. And then you have other law firms who are saying, no, that's not how this works. Is the if is the library museum sector making any plans?
Absolutely. Not just making plans, but enacting them. So, the American Library Association, which is the largest association of library workers, they have been pushing to reverse this for a very long time, ever since they knew that it was happening. And so they're coming together, they're banding, they're encouraging people to reach out, as I said before, to contact your representatives, state and federal. They're putting out things on social media because we know that's where a lot of people receive their information. And so, no, they are not capitulating. They're not bending the knee. They're fighting back to the very end. And so, information professionals are very resourceful, and we're just trying to use those resources and push out to the public. But we need the public to support this. We can't wait until 6 months from now or a year from now and say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize what was going on.
I know how passionate you are on the stuff that you do. Is there a world where when you hear elected officials say we're wasting money in what you do, in the circles that you run it, in the libraries that you've organized and run, how do you feel when you hear basically someone say what you get up to do every day, probably not for a whole lot of money, um, is a waste of money, and that people are being the government is being cheated, or the American people are being cheated?
I think it's a talking point. It's something to galvanize people, but it's not the truth. I know my truth. I know why I do the work I do, and the people around me and my colleagues. And most of us are not making a lot of money. Most people don't realize that information professionals or librarians hold master's degrees. And so when I tell
As
you,
required.
as required. So we hold master's degrees, and some of us even two master's degrees. But our compensation does not correlate to that level of education and the impact of what we pour into the community. And so it is a passion, but very much like education, we have got to support these professions in a better way if we want to keep people in the profession, if we want to keep this work going. We've got to look at it differently. And so when you look here in Indianapolis, we are the amateur sports capital of the world. If a sports team, if a millionaire owner says, I don't have enough money, money starts raining down from the sky.
Mm-hmm.
We will actually knock down a building we haven't fully paid for, and
Mm-hmm.
we will build a new edifice. But if a school says they need money, if a library says they need money, they say, oh, we don't know if we can do that. You've got to pin some pennies. You've got to do this. We've got to think about what is important. And I don't believe it's a zero sum game. I think we can do a little bit of both, but we've got to think about it more broadly. And I think it's a matter for some of the legislators of education This is just a lack of understanding. They don't understand the impact, and I think others are just playing to what's going on right now.
I have heard, when we've played it on the air here, comments from the governor, comments from the president, and they say we want to give all this back to the states. We want to give education back to the states. We'll close the Department of Education, let the states handle all of that. And my first question is, give what back to the states? Because education is already controlled by your state. And so I don't know what they're giving back. I don't know if you do, but I know one of the things that they struggle to give is enough funding to everything from schools to libraries. And we are in this state, we have a surplus of cash. I guess I'm trying to figure out, where should people get comfort in saying, oh, the CDC is cutting that money, or the Department of Education is cutting that money, but your state is going to take care of you.
I think that's very challenging. So, reiterating on what you said, the states already control the education in their state. So, there's something that's called a state standard. So, if you go to Indiana Department of Education, you can look at those standards. So, in kindergarten, you should learn this first, second, and on through. We control on the state level the education for our state. Federal government doesn't do that. What the federal government does do is they offer support, oversight, funding, and things of that nature. And so when you're talking about giving it back, it's pretty dicey because what you're also going to have is that some states are going to say, well, we're not going to put that money in that bucket. We're going to put it in something totally different. And I think it's important for people to look up, where is Indiana in education? Are we at the top or are we toward the bottom? Answer is, we're toward the bottom. So we're puffing our chest out about how great things are, but they're not as great as they seem. So it's important for people to get factual information. And to do that, we have to go beyond a TikTok. We have to go beyond Twitter or even Threads. We've got to get some real sources on what's going on, and then work within our communities to make a difference. Everyone can do something. You can call your representative. You can support an individual who's running for office who aligns with what you want to do. Maybe you want to run for office. There are things we can do. Are people registered in your family? Are they registered in your neighborhood? Do they know how to access information on who their representatives are, when the next primary is? There are lots of things we can do, and I would also encourage people to align with organizations that already exist. There are a plethora of those out there, and they're doing the work, and they need more willing workers.
You're one of the people who is doing the work. You do a lot of things. You wear a lot of hats. I want to ask you about some of the other things that you're doing, because you're always keeping us up to date.
That's right.
What else do people need to know about what's happening in Central Indiana right now?
So this is April, and this is National Poetry Month, and I love poetry. So this month on April the 26th at the Carefruit Institute from 2 to 5, and that's located on Illinois, 38th and Illinois in Indianapolis, we are going to be having a birthday celebration for Etheridge Knight. And so we're going to be talking about Etheridge Knight and his work. We're going to have January York perform, as well as some other individuals. And so we're really excited about that. Etheridge Knight lived here for a significant amount of time. Many of his family members are still here. He's a famous, famous poet. He's no longer with us, but his work still reverberates with us. And so we're so excited to celebrate his work and to just come together and talk about poetry. So that's one of the big things that's happening this month.
You always remind us of the things that are inside of our libraries that we might not know about. And this is random. This is a total thing that just popped in my head. What is something that's inside of a library, inside of the Indianapolis Public Libraries, that people might not know is there, but it's a huge resource?
So what I would say in a lot of libraries they have that people are not necessarily aware of are seeds. They have what's called a seed library, and this is a great time to pick those up. So let's say you want to start a little garden. Let's say you want to do some lettuce, maybe you want to do some squash, you name it. And libraries have seeds. And no, you don't have to return them. But sometimes what people will do, they will grow things and they will bring that produce to the library workers, which is really sweet. So you just go in, you pick up the seeds you want, you take them home, you plant them, and then you go from there. So I think people don't think about
Never heard of it.
seeds
Didn't know it was
as
even a
something
thing.
that's in a library. And obviously, there's a lot of tech. There's 3D printers. They have podcasting equipment. Just in a lot of libraries in the central Indiana area.
I didn't even know that. I knew you'd give me something new that I didn't know. You did tell me, and something that I still need to check out is there's essentially an Indiana uh, Hall of Fame, Wall of Fame of people who are from Indiana and are highlighted nicely inside of this. Is it the Central Museum?
It's inside the Central Library, yeah,
Central Library.
and
I'm sorry.
it's focused on people with a connection to Indiana. So people like Vivica Fox, people like Babyface, Oscar Robertson, and Julia Carson, Judge Tanya Walton Pratt, and so that's an amazing space that I created when I worked at the former employer. And so I'm proud that that work still stands. But we are trying to focus on local people, which is important because often what you'll see is people say, oh, they're from Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles. But you can be amazing being right here in Indiana. And people are doing amazing things, but we have to pour into them.
Well, that's certainly something that I'd like to check out. And we have to profile because when you go to other cities, this is one of my pet peeves. You go to other cities and you immediately know uh, Jill Scott is from Philly and Patti LaBelle is from Philly and Chance the Rapper is from Chicago. The cities let you know who is from there, and I don't think enough that we do that. Let alone that the greatest entertainer of all time is from Indiana. You'd
Michael
only
Jackson.
Michael Jackson. You'd only know that if you happen to go down a small street in Gary and go past a little white house and notice a plaque that this is where the Jacksons live. So I definitely want to see what you have curated in
Yeah, it's amazing. And I would say I try to promote local. I'm a third generation Hoosier. My family moved here during the Great Migration in the 1920s. So we moved to the east side, and that's pretty much where we hunkered down and made our life. And so Indiana, for better or for worse, it's my home. And I love it, sometimes in spite of itself.
there. Mm-hmm.
But I'm very proud to be from Indianapolis. I'm very proud to be from the east side. My mother went to Crispus Attucks High School, class of 1961. So even before I understood what a high school was, she was telling me about Crispus Attucks
Mm-hmm.
and the Big O and all of those accomplishments. So I think it all depends on your perspective and what you're hearing and the people that are around you. But I think there's a way for us to learn more, but we've got to be thirsty for that knowledge and we've got to kind of go out there and learn and grow. Tamika Catchings, they're working on a mural for her.
Okay.
So they are looking for an artist to do that, and they're also looking for the location. So that is another example of someone who made Indianapolis her home, and she really pours into our city. She's really focused on youth, and she just has a big, big heart. And so, that's another local person that we just hold up.
What else you got cooking? I know you got something else up your sleeve.
I do, I do. So the Hurston Wright Foundation is a foundation that supports Black writers,
Mm-hmm.
and it was formulated in 1990. So this is the 35th year, and we are very excited to announce that we are renaming our Legacy Awards to the Zoras.
Okay.
So it's going to be named after one of the namesakes of the organization, Zora Neale Hurston, who was a writer, an anthropologist, just a Renaissance woman, and she was part of the Harlem Renaissance. And so the debut debut fiction writer will win a $20,000 prize, which is huge in the literary world, and that will really be able to propel a new writer into a stratosphere for them to be able to kind of regroup, breathe, and then grow and then learn and just keep on doing what they do. So I'd like everybody to check us out on Hurston HURSTON, right, WRIGHT.org. We're going to have our Zora Awards. It's going to be October the 17th in Washington, D.C. And so I'd love to have everyone come out. And then we're also going to have a streaming option as well.
Is this just I asked this to circle back?
Sure.
Is this something that highlights the importance of one organizations like the Hurston Foundation? Because if we're losing funding from the government, it's making other organizations and nonprofits even more important to fill those spaces of resources.
So I think that what we have here is an opportunity. We have an opportunity to dig deep. We have an opportunity for individuals to support things that are important. We can't solely rely on the federal government. And I think also you're going to see that there are going to be private foundations, philanthropic foundations, as well as individuals who are going to be willing to pour money and time and energy into these things that are important. So this is being funded by an anonymous donor. And they're going to be giving us $20,000 every year for this award because they are so passionate about Black writers. So I think there's a huge opportunity, and I have a lot of excitement around this. And it's not just for Hurston Wright, but it's for Black writers broadly.
How can people find out more information about that?
So definitely check us out at hurstonwright.org and sign up for our newsletter so you can see the things that are happening. And like I said, we're very, very excited about this opportunity. We're very excited about who our debut fiction winner is going to be. We haven't even picked that person yet, so they're going to be bowled over because when they entered their submission, they didn't even realize it was going to be a $20,000 prize attached to it. So this is going to be amazing.
Before we get ready to go, I want to ask you, we've got video of the president signing executive orders. Is there anything good coming from these cuts? I'm trying to figure out what is the benefit, because as I've listened to you and I'm reflecting on what you're saying and what these libraries offer, I'm not seeing no one, including them, including the president, including the governor, have not said what the benefits are. Do you have some insight onto what that could be?
So what I'll say to that, Cameron, is we can always improve on anything. That's obvious. But to improve on something, we need a scalpel and not a sledgehammer. So if we do need to make cuts, let's do an evaluation. Let's look at things, carefully, and then judiciously determine what needs to happen. So this isn't happening. What I will say that is good about this is that people are learning that they have a voice and that they have to use that voice. So we are actually in a representative democracy. And so what that means is that our senators, our congresspeople, they represent us. They don't represent themselves. And that's why we have to let our voices be heard. We need to learn more about civics and what that means and the branches of government. And they're co-equal branches of government. We've got legislative, we have the executive, and then we have the judicial. So they are co-equal as it's supposed to be. But that's not really how it's operating right now. And so we have to push back on that. I would encourage people, I know this sounds kind of nerdy, but I am a blurred, read the Constitution. Actually read it for yourself. Understand what's going on. I would also encourage you to read some books that are going on out there. So Stamped from the Beginning by Dr. Ibram Kendi, an amazing book. It will enlighten you to America and what we've done and where we're going. Another great book is The Lies My History Teachers Told Me by James Lowen. There's also a graphic novel by Nate Powell, which is easier to digest. So I would encourage people to learn and to understand things for themselves and not just listen to me, not just listen to you, but look at different sources and kind of determine what's really going on.
Nichelle M. Hayes, all around. What you have so many titles. So today, uh, information expert of Fox 59 now is what we'll have to call you. But we thank you for all that you do, all you've been through, and what you continue to power through. And in this case, I mean, the work that you're doing is nothing but helping other people to be informed and know what's going on. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Cameron. I appreciate you and everything that you're doing for Central Indiana.
Thank you. That is going to do it for this edition of Fox 59 Tonight. But there is more coming up here on the app, so stay tuned. But of course, we've got more news on TV on Fox 59, and then we'll have more news tonight coming up at 10 and 11. And if you still want more, you can join me on Sunday mornings on the radio on 106.7 WTLC and Hot 100.9, where we'll continue conversations like this with my radio show, Open Lines. Again, we thank you. Follow us on social media. If you're watching us on YouTube, download the app. And if you're watching us on the app, go to the YouTube page and subscribe to Fox 59. That's going to do it for us, everybody. Have a great day.